Well, I'm glad we're finally doing this after talking about it for several months. So, welcome to Off the Record. I'm here with Juhis Kauppinen from Merta.
I'm glad to be here.
So, just to get things warming up, how's your year been so far?
Quite busy, I would say. And first of all, I'm sorry about my English, so just hang in there, please. About this year, I've been super busy. We have been finishing our album, and I have been finishing other bands' albums and doing quite a lot of that.
Awesome. Well, just to get started, tell me a little bit about your history with both making music and sound engineering. So, for example, which came first?
Making music. I think I've been playing in bands like from the 7th grade, I think. Starting from melodic death metal and therefore to black metal, and now in Merta doing alternative rock music or metalish rock music. And I think it was 2017 or 16 when I started making my band's demo tracks, and therefore if I remember right, some of my friends just asked how much it cost if I make a demo for them. And then that was the first revelation that, I can make money of this. And actually I have this band called Enthroned the Unborn, and Pasi Kauppinen from Sonat Artica was our album's producer and recording engineer, and he gave me the first spark to make or just do recordings and start mixing. So thanks to Pasi. He's my sensei. That's about it.
So, what was it that made you fall in love with music and want to make it yourself?
Oh, awful question. I think my first memory about music is, I think I was 2 or 3 years old, that I gathered my mom's every pottery and that kind of stuff and make them drums. And somehow all my life I've been somehow very fascinated about music, and I think my whole life has been I have been a little bit crazy in music.
Well, do you play any instruments alongside singing?
Yes, I do. I play guitar and I play drums and a little bit bass. And when I was in ala-aste, what is ala-aste?
Like middle school, maybe?
Middle school, yeah, I played clarinet. And after that, I started playing drums because I heard Children of Bodom and Sonat Arctic and that kind of stuff. I wanted to learn to play double bass. So, yeah, first drums in bands, and then after that, I have this moment when I was wondering that why other bands' songs are better than ours. And then I got this first idea to start doing music, making songs. Then I grabbed our band's guitarist guitar and start learning it.
Well, that leads nicely into my next question, because one of the things I really like about Merta is you don't feel very fixed in one genre. It feels like you're taking a little bit of the best from a lot of different genres and putting it into the sound. So what are some of your biggest influences, not just in like heavy music, but in kind of everything?
Oh, tricky question. Well, I have always loved him very much. And at the moment, I'm a very huge fan of Juha Tapio and Happoradio and Viivi. But the whole Merta thing was the root idea was that I have a very much friends who are like super metalheads, and then I have friends who like pop music and rap music, and we have usually back in when we were young we had these parties, and it was always a little weird that first we listened Fintelligence and Darode, and then we listened Timo Borgir and Grail of Field and all the hoppers were like, oh, this is awful shit, and when we're listening Fintelligence and all the metalheads, oh, this is awful shit. There's no Satan in here. So that the whole point that I love both genres, and the Merta's root idea was to make music that everyone can relate. That because there is so nice lyrical stuff and melodies in pop music, and the metalheads will not listen to it because it's pop. And same that in metal we have so beautiful melodies, but the wall of sound is so big and aggressive, so the pop music diggers, they won't listen to it. So then we did this Merta thing, that there is a best of the both worlds, and everyone can hopefully listen it.
So would you consider yourself a gateway band?
Gateway band? No.
You could be a gateway from metal into pop, or you could be a gateway from pop into metal.
Sorry, I misunderstood the gateway stuff. So, yeah, hopefully.
Well, what I recall hearing at some point was that Merta was kind of your solo project originally, and then you kind of brought in the band afterwards. So how did it evolve into today's version? Because I also seem to think that you guys also had one more guitarist in the past as well.
Yes. Well, the whole thing was my desktop project first, and then we did this first song called Virta katkea. I think it's 2017 or 2018. And then we sent it into like 5 different recording labels. The first time in my life there was like 3 or 4 that answered back. And then I was, oh, what is this sorcery? And the main problem was that this is not a band. Rock and metal diggers, they only like bands, not like in pop culture that they like the artist. They doesn't care about the band. But then that was the first time when I got the idea that this has to be a band, and this is gonna be a good band. And then we made this Kahden raja läpi song, and then Henry, our drummer, came into recording sessions, and then I start thinking about what the rest of the guys, who there will be, and now I have to be very careful because I want this band to last, and it's because the band is there's so much chemistry and that kind of stuff. So I called to Tommy. We played in Enjoy the Unborn and Rearmed together, and Tommy joined it, and then I called to Henkka, and Henkka joined it. We played in Disclarity together, and then I called to Kalle, and we played in Disclarity with Kalle also, and Kalle joined it. And then I was in this, what is called, harjoittelu. I was in Journey in Finvox Studios, and Ossi was there also. So I knew Ossi because he has played in Soft Engine and that kind of soft rock bands. And then I asked Ossi if you want to come, and then he was, yeah, of course. And after 3 years, Ossi left in last spring, I think. And here we are. Still.
Do you have any interest in bringing in another guitarist again, or are you okay with just one?
In first, after Ossi left, I said to the guys that I want a new guitarist. But the band has made its mind, and they told me, yell it in the same time, no, we're gonna be 4 guys now. And I was, okay, how are we gonna do this? Should I start playing guitar? And then Tommy said, no, you're a crappy guitarist. Let me do the job. And then I was, okay, let's do it this way. Because somehow during the years, Tommy, Kalle, Henkka, and I, we are like welded together very nicely. And I think it's quite hard to get a new guy and get it into the gang, would I say. So it's easier this way.
Yeah. Hard to find the right chemistry with a new person sometimes. Yeah. I think that's the same reason why Blind Guardian have never had a bass player. I only learned that in like fairly
Oh,
recent
really?
years, but
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's always been like a session player or something with
Huh.
them. Goes to show how much I paid attention to their lineup. It's always just Hansi and everyone else, I guess. But so in that case, do you write all of Merta's music yourself, or do you guys all collaborate as a band?
Well, basically yes. But this in this third album, Virta album, this is actually the first album where we did it together. I usually we call this aihio, not the demo, but aihio. And then I send to the guys, and they tell me what they think, what they like, and then they tell should we try this or this and this. And this is actually the Virta album is the first where we did that, and also with the lyrics. And so I sent the lyrics to the guys, and they read it, and they say do they like them or not.
Well, speaking of lyrics, for those out there who don't speak Finnish, what sort of things inspire you when you're writing lyrics?
You have very tough questions.
One thing I have noticed is that I hear the word vapaus or like related words to like freedom coming up a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's usually the first two albums were more personal stuff, and when I say personal, it doesn't always mean that it's in my personal life. It could be an event or memory during my life. It can relate into my friends or my family or something I had saw in the parking lot in little. But usually this sounds very weird. When I'm happy, I write sad songs, and when I'm sad, I write happy songs.
So you're like a Finnish mood neutralizer. You can never be too much in one direction. It's always got to be neutral.
Yeah. And this third album is different because there's like a two or three very personal songs, and the rest of the songs are fiction. First time. So I've been reading this book called Kahle Kuningas. I think it's the only book in Finland that give you some hints and know how to make lyrics. And there was this chapter where it says that he goes to the farms and blocks to see what happens there. And somehow I was wondering that I want to make song about loneliness. I don't usually feel loneliness I don't feel I'm not a lonely human being, so I don't have like straight contact into it. So I went to the Suomi 24 forum and did some research, and there was awful stuff there. And then I make this picture about boat and lighthouse, and in the shore there is like hundreds and hundreds of people, and you are drifting along with the boat into lighthouse, and the question is, are you really there if the people on the shore doesn't see you going there? So this time it's a fictional album, I think, more.
Metaphorical, perhaps?
Yeah. And the stories are fictional.
Very cool. And regarding your name, as I understand, Merta has kind of two meanings. One is that it's one of those, like, fish traps.
Yeah.
And the other is that it's the partitive of meri, which is the sea.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious how you came up with this name.
This is a dull story, but first the band's first name was Inertia, but my friend has this solo project called Inertia, so this is Merta now, and the Merta was like I was watching TV, and there was I don't remember the movie, but there was it's an English language movie, and they said sea, and it was translated Merta. And then I was, Merta. that it is. That's the story behind our name. I think it's more sea, not the trap. But
now I could go into like the nuances of the Finnish language and really get into this. Like, okay, but it's the partitive of sea. So what does that mean? The like ongoing existence of the sea and its endlessness, or
I hope that I would have that kind of story behind that, but no.
no, you can just leave it up to interpretation.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah, let's do that.
It makes you seem more mysterious. Like, no, I don't know what my band name means. You come up with it. So you guys released your first 2 albums in pretty quick succession, with Kokonainen and Mina coming out within right about a year of each other.
Yep.
So were you intentionally trying to get just lots of material out there, or did you just have a lot of songs, or how did that end up happening?
Well, when we released Kokonainen, right before the whole COVID thing, we had a decent tour coming, but the COVID thing ate that. So we released that album, and then we were like, what now? Because we're gonna do shows, we're gonna do nothing. What we gonna do? And our record label Ninni said that, can you guys make new music? That would be super. And then I was like, fuck yeah, why not? Actually, we released our first single from the second album 1 week before we had our album release show of the first album. So I think, yeah, it was like 5 months after the first album we released our first single of the second album. And then we started to make the album. So that's why they are so close each other. Because of the COVID.
Your album release show for Mina would have been the one with Ember Falls doing Ruins.
Yeah.
That was fun. I still can't believe I wasn't paying attention back then. Well, so your third album is then due out next month. So besides what you've already mentioned, is there anything different or special about it compared to the last 2 albums that you think is noteworthy?
If I understand the question right, yes, this third album is different, very in many ways. I think the third album is the first album that have super meaning to us. Well, don't understand me wrong. That every album has we love our albums, but this first album that we made together, and we make all the decisions about it together. And this is the first album where we have an outsider making some music with us. And I think we used like 2 years with this, but the rest of the project, when we started after Ossi left last spring, so we have like 2 or 3 songs already, but we write the rest of the songs after that, like within 1.5 year. And so that's why Henkka said that this album means friendship to us. So this is why this is our best album.
It's a good depiction of where you're at as a band.
Yeah. And I also think this third album, we somehow find our music, what we like in our music, and this is the first time when we have this like meetings about our music, and the guys were asking, what are you thinking when you're making this song? And then I was doing my Finnish gibberish with them, but this is like this is our piece of gold now.
Well, with that in mind, I noticed that Virta is a little bit less overall heavy compared to the previous 2 albums. So was there a conscious shift towards decreasing the metal elements, or was that just kind of a reflection of where you guys are at this point in time?
When we started making this third album, the idea was make a fucking heavy metal record. but somehow after Ossi left, then we rethink it again, and then we have this little meeting, and do we have songs and what kind of songs, and then I have a couple of demos, and so the first demo we make was Harha and Mielivalta, and they like decide what this album gonna be. So it felt good to make little easier album, not so heavy, but I think the heavy is still there, but it's not so obvious, I would say, because we decided that Tommi Vainikainen will mix this album. The whole idea was that we want to make a heavy album but using pop sounds, so everybody can relate it and listen to it.
Excellent. Well, you guys have a bunch of live shows coming up next month. Are you playing anywhere new this time?
In Kouvola, House of Rock. If you ask about the venues or songs, venues, yeah.
I assume you're going to be playing some new songs.
Yeah.
Yes, on your album release tour.
Yeah, actually, House of Rock in Kouvola is a new venue and new town. We never had played in Kouvola, and also Järvenpää is a new town. And in Helsinki we have played plenty of shows, and Turku, we have played one show in Turku. So this is our second there. Yeah, 2 new cities and 2 new venues.
Awesome. It's rare to hear people in Järvenpää. That's cool. I live near Järvenpää, so that's always good for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's about it for my questions. So is there anything else you'd like to share in general or about this album before we wrap up?
This is the always hardest question because I don't know what to say. So I'm going to say, go check the album when it comes out and come to the live shows.
Yes.
Yes. Pew.